Well, let's now get more on the business implications of this deal. And Jonathan Josephs is here. Jonathan.
Hi, Tanya. Yep, lots of interesting implications for business. Yes, hello, everyone. As we've been hearing, the UK and the EU have reached this new deal over post-Brexit trade agreements for Northern Ireland. Remember, the EU remains the UK's biggest single trading partner, and the British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said the deal that's been agreed involved the scrapping of customs requirements between mainland Britain and Northern Ireland, as well as a settlement on moving food and medicines between the two. Ms von der Leyen, speaking for the EU, said that it protected the EU's single market as well as the Good Friday Peace Agreement. So what do businesses in Northern Ireland make of what we know so far of the deal? Because remember, we still don't have the full legal text, although we have had those details. I'm joined now by Roger Pollen, who is head of the Federation of Small Businesses in Northern Ireland. Thanks for your time, Roger, on what must be a busy day for your organisation. As we said, Rishi Sunak said that this deal would make things feel more equal between Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK. For instance, the same food and medicines will be available on shelves in both. Does this go some way to tackling the concerns that your organisation has?
Well, to be fair, it's actually our members who've been bringing up concerns for the last couple of years, and I suppose it's a huge credit to the fact that we've been listened to. The UK government, the EU, the five parties at the executive at Stormont, the Irish government have all accepted that there were problems with the way the protocol was being implemented, and they've gone away and looked at how to address those. And I think what's been encouraging in the last number of weeks has been the change of language to something which we'd been encouraging, which was to get away from the concept of negotiation and look at joint problem solving. And so what we've heard today would certainly suggest that an awful lot of the problems have been solved. So we highlighted the 5 Ps originally as a sort of emblematic of what they were, and it was pets, parcels, potatoes and potted plants. Those were all things that businesses in our membership were saying they were having great difficulty in getting from GB into Northern Ireland, and those were very notably highlighted by the Prime Minister in his comments today at Windsor. So we will now need to sit back quietly, calmly, discuss with our members and see if what's been brought forward actually addresses all of their concerns or most of their concerns, and just test it in the field, as it were.
You mentioned the 5 Ps, but perhaps there's a 6th P that your members will be particularly pleased to hear seems to be being reduced significantly, and that is paperwork. Just how much of a burden has that been in moving goods between Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK both ways? And how welcome is it to hear that much of that is going to be scrapped under this agreement?
Well, it has been a huge burden, and to put a specific figure on it, I was talking to a business last week that has 10 employees, one of whom spends 75% of their time doing paperwork that has arisen since the protocol. So that's 7.5% of that company's entire human capacity is spent on doing paperwork that's arisen because of the protocol. Now, that company is ordinarily trusted to do its tax returns, to do its VAT returns, to do all of the normal bureaucracy of running a business legally and legitimately, and yet somehow it was being required to do paperwork to prove that it was keeping within the rules rather than declaring after the fact that it had done so. So the fact that there's a suggestion that an awful lot of that paperwork is going to be done away with will be hugely welcomed.
Roger Pollen from the Federation of Small Businesses in Northern Ireland, thank you very much. I'm sorry, that's all we've got time for. Busy day on Brexit issues here. Let's move on to China, and the missing Chinese business billionaire Bao Fan is reportedly helping the country's authorities with an investigation. That's according to his company. He is the founder of the influential investment bank China Renaissance Holdings and was reported missing 11 days ago. He's been a leading deal broker for some of the country's top technology firms, such as the ride-hailing firm Didi and the shopping platform Meituan. He's not the first Chinese business leader to have disappeared like this. Our China media analyst Kerry Allen has been telling me what more we know.
We don't have many more details than what has been in media, the message from China Renaissance Holdings, which is that, yes, that he's cooperating with an investigation. We don't know the nature of this investigation, but some finance media have been reporting that the former president at China Renaissance, Tong Ling, was investigated back in September. So some analysts are suspecting that it could be linked to that. But yeah, there's very little about this to offer further kind of expectation as to why he's not been seen or heard from. So yes, it's been 11 days, but he's not been replying to messages either on social media platforms, or he's not been answering the phone. And so yeah, at the moment there's still a lot of speculation about whether he himself is under investigation or whether he's cooperating related to somebody else.
And Kerry, we had seen in recent weeks in the Chinese media signs that this crackdown by the authorities on the big tech companies trying to rein in their unabated drive for profits had been perhaps starting to ease. But is this a different sign? What sort of message are the authorities trying to send by letting this information be known?
Well, there are some who are now starting to speculate about whether President Xi Jinping is cracking down on big tech figures again. And there are surprises about this if this is the case, because for the last 3 years, China has been closed off because of zero COVID, and the economy has suffered. So there has been a lot of messaging in state media that companies are seeing easings and they're able to practice less so than under the restraints that they used to have. But yeah, Xi Jinping has been criticized for zero COVID, and there are some who kind of think that this might now be an opportunity because of protests last year, for example, to reassert that the Communist Party has the ultimate power. Even though there are these big financial figures, these billionaires in the country who have a lot of influence, who have a lot of power, who are connected to a lot of people, the Communist Party might be trying to send a message here.
That was our China media analyst Kerry Allen on the status of the billionaire Bao Fan. An Australian firm, Recharge Industries, is buying the British battery maker Britishvolt out of administration. Britishvolt had plans to build a $5 billion gigafactory to build electric vehicle batteries in the northeast of England, but it ran out of money and collapsed last month. The company's downfall was blamed on a lack of battery experience, unproven technology, a lack of customers, and not having enough money coming in. The new owner has been speaking to our business editor Simon Jack about why his company is different.
What we're bringing, which is different to the prior Britishvolt, is we're bringing validated technology. So that process has already started. US Defence has also validated the technology. It's actually already supplied to the UK Navy through a subcontractor over here.
Do you understand why people are a bit nervous about this? Because you've got a financial services background in capital markets and banking. You've got a small headcount. You run basically like a private equity group. You've tried to bring in bits of expertise, academics in the US, what have you. But what people can't see is a Tesla, General Motors, Ford, Volvo, BMW, those kind of people involved in this. And that's where people were hoping this was going to go.
Yeah, well, I think, number one, they all started somewhere before they became big. Yeah, we've got accelerated growth and have been successful all along the way. At the end of the day, those are customers for us. You know, and so we have some of those names in our base of customers. So a lot of them don't all come in and build batteries, some of them do, and a lot of them use other technologies. You know, what we will need is the people locally, the contractors that will re-engage, that will start employing, you know, and we have the benefit of picking up and leveraging a lot of the stuff that was in place, as well as a lot of the stuff that was already underway.
Obviously, there's a lot of focus on this because it's seen as an important part of the jigsaw of future manufacturing here in the UK. Have you spoken to anyone in government?
Appreciate how important government is. So we've spent a lot of time, for starters, with the Northumberland County Council, and I just want to say they genuinely just want a gigafactory built and the best thing for their people.
That was David Collard speaking to our business editor Simon Jack about Britishvolt. There's plenty more business news on the website at bbc.com/business. It's also on your smartphone. But for now, that's all the business news. And back to you, Tanya, with the rest of the news.
Jonathan, thank you very much indeed. And still to come on Global, we'll find